Is Texas ruining college football by spending $35 to $40 million in NIL on their roster in 2025? And we got this report this week about how much NIL money is going to the Texas roster in 2025. And of course, we got all the old man sportscasters on YouTube talking about how this is unsustainable and this is what's ruining the sport. And I got to the point where we've gone through. This is going to be our third year in college football with NIL. Can we not yet have a nuanced conversation about what's actually ruining college football or what's actually the problem with NIL and the transfer portal, and not just because kids are getting paid money, that's ruining the sport, and kids are only chasing money, and that's the problem. If we take the money out, it'll solve it. And yeah, $35 to $40 million, it's jarring for what we've seen spent so far. It's notable for sure that we're getting to this number, but let's really talk about what $35 to $40 million actually means in pro sports. And whether we like it or not, college football is a pro sport at this point. It's probably been a pro sport for 20, 30 years. It's just now that players are actually getting paid for it. And even now, even at this very moment, obviously this will change this summer, but at this very moment, none of this money is coming directly from the school. Obviously, it's being moved around, kind of a shell game to go through these collectives and all this kind of stuff, but it's not coming directly from the school. So it's not like Texas is paying this. But let's talk about what $35 to $40 million actually means. But before we get too far into it, make sure that you like and subscribe. We're trying to get as many college football videos out as we can before the season, so make sure that you're along for the ride. In the NBA right now, there are 26 players that are getting paid more than $40 million per season. You have to get down to Domantas Sabonis. Actually, you have to get down to John Morant before you get a player that is not being paid $40 million. There are 26 other players in the league that are being paid $40 million a season. Okay? That's not the whole team. That's just the player. In the NFL, there are 17 players that are getting paid $40 million or more per season. In the MLB, there are 5 players getting paid $40 million or more per season. So yes, obviously those are different things. The amount of money that is being brought in by the NBA, NFL, MLB is a different level than what most programs are bringing in. Really all programs, but what most programs are bringing in the FBS. But when we're talking about these top level teams, we're talking about Texas. We're talking about Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, basically the whole top of the SEC and the whole top of the Big Ten. I mean, they have the biggest stadiums in the country. And yes, the tickets aren't exactly the same price for a college football game as they are the NFL. But when you get 100,000 people into the stadium, the ticket revenue from one game is astronomical. And for how many years have they got away with none of that money going to the players? This next year is the first time any of it will be going to the players. And even that is capped for the entire athletic department of a school to be $20,500,000. So a portion of that is then going to be taken out. Obviously a big portion, but even a portion of that is going to be taken out, and that's going to be given to the players based on their overall revenue from all of their college sports. So to say that $35 to $40 million is an astronomical number that is unsustainable, that these players don't deserve it, or whatever the argument is from these old men that are flabbergasted by this amount, it's just stupid. And all this discussion comes around the same sport that has, in like 30 plus states, the highest paid government employees as their head coach of their team. And none of that is being pulled into the NIL discussion. It's a problem when the kids that are playing are making $35 to $40 million across like 85 players. But when one dude is making $10 million plus a season, that's no problem. Reminder, that money is coming from the university. That money is coming from taxpayers. When the money that's coming to the players is coming from boosters, is coming from sponsorships. None of it's actually coming from taxpayer dollars directly to the kids as of yet. None of it's even coming from the money that's going into the program through tickets and concessions and whatever they make through TV revenue deals and all of that. So why is that a problem? And we're not talking about how much these coaches are making every single season, and they also have no ties to the school whatsoever. Because I think what most people's problem with NIL and the transfer portal is really the transfer portal. And that is a thing that has snowballed because in the 2010s, How many coaches do we see in both football and basketball were just jetting after they get this huge contract? They have to have this huge buyout, and then they get to go coach somewhere else, and there's no problem for them. They're just going to go chase the biggest money elsewhere. And these kids were then stuck at a school that they committed to this coach, they committed to this offensive coordinator, whatever they had at that school when they were recruited is now gone, and they can't leave with it. So that's how the transfer portal started to snowball, because they were then able to leave either with that coach or to go somewhere else so that they could, be re-recruited and go to a situation they wanted to be. And it got to the point where it's like, if you're not going to restrict the coach at all, then how can you restrict these players at all? And of course, it's not a good system, because you can't tell people that if you don't want this job, you don't have to have this job. If you don't want to go to school here, you don't have to go to school here. That's kind of the whole thing about America, right? You could go do what you want to do. But we have all these conversations about player movement and NIL and all this kind of stuff, and we forget that this all is a snowball effect of the coaches doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And you want to talk about loyalty with kids, you want to talk about saying for an education and all this kind of stuff. If the head coach is supposed to be the one that's teaching them all this shit, they're not doing that. If an offensive coordinator came in and they were recruited by that offensive coordinator and they wanted to play for that guy, and he's coaching at Texas Tech, he goes and gets a job at fucking Kansas as the head coach or whatever, why would we stop him from doing that? But then why does that kid have to stay and play there? So there's no super great solution, but with these conversations about it being too much money for NIL, which again is just beyond me, how you can say it's too much money. It's not your money that's going to those kids, unlike the coach's money. That is your money, but it's not your money that's going to these kids. And it's still markedly, in most cases, and actually in every case, is less money, and in most cases is remarkably less money than what these coaches make on a yearly basis. Of the top 10 highest paid coaches in college football, only the 10th one, Brian Kelly at LSU, is making less than $10 million a season, and he's making $9.9 million. So if we're saying that $35 to $40 million in NIL money, again, that doesn't come directly from the school, is too much money for the most valuable, if not top 5 most valuable college football programs in the world, Texas, then we need to really have a conversation about these coaches' salaries. Now, again, that's not going to happen. That money's not going anywhere. And the $35 to $40 million, like I said, is not going anywhere but up, because college football is getting more valuable. Money in America is becoming less valuable. And the ways that they're going to find a way to pay these college players, now that the cat's out of the bag, it's going to keep going up and up and up, and it's going to be an unrecognizable number by next year. When we look at $35 to $40 million and all the conversations we had about that, it will be laughable, because not only will the NIL money go up for every single player, the amount of this, when you combine it with the revenue sharing, especially in these top programs, especially when we're talking about Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Michigan, Florida, all these top programs that are spending money year in, year out, it is going to be unrecognizable to have a conversation about $35 to $40 million being absurd. You can make an argument that that is a problem for college football. And I don't think that there's any way to look at it as not a problem, right? It's one way or another, it's a problem that needs to be solved. I don't think it's a bad problem. I think that for so long, this sport has made so much money and restricted the people that really are the driving force of the money, which is the players on the field, from having any part in that there was always going to be some kind of burst through effect that was going to be troublesome. And we're seeing that, right? I think more quickly than a lot of people thought, this revenue sharing is coming in. And I don't think that most fans that are not deep into it, like you and I, would understand really the differences between NIL and revenue sharing. And a lot of even guys that are talking about it Clay Travis, who's on the Outkick channel, who has like 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube. This is what made me make this video. It pissed me off so much that he was saying that the Texas kids are going to take a pay cut next season because of the revenue sharing cap. And I was like, dude, you have been doing this for a long time. You have a college football book published, and you don't understand that the NIL money and the revenue sharing money are different, that the cap on revenue sharing, that's all new money that's coming in. This NIL money is going to be essentially unaffected. There's no cap on NIL coming anytime soon. And if it does, there will be yet another lawsuit, and whoever puts in that cap, the NCAA, the conferences, whoever it is, that will lose. There will never be an NIL cap. You can't tell people, when you lose the Ed O'Banion suit, you cannot tell any of these players at any sport that they cannot make as much money as possible from their own name, image, and likeness, because that is what they own. They own themselves. And if you've been doing this that long and you don't understand that the revenue sharing that's coming in and the NIL that has been here for the last couple of years are two completely separate things, and that this revenue sharing money is only going to be added money on top of that, I don't know what you're doing with 1 million subscribers. I don't even have 2,000 subscribers. And that is so infuriating to me that this dude is out there peddling that bullshit. So if you want to talk about the revenue sharing and saying that the boosters' money maybe will be reallocated from being paid to players directly through NIL, and it'll go to the program, and some of it'll go directly into the revenue sharing, yeah, that's probably some truth to that. But Arch Manning, who's getting paid $6.6 million in NIL in 2025, is not taking a pay cut in 2026 if he comes back. 99% of the players are not going to take a pay cut in NIL because of revenue sharing. They're probably going to be making more money, because some of those players that weren't making any money from NIL or making very little are now going to have a guaranteed salary through revenue sharing. The changes that may come through revenue sharing that would be maybe detrimental to the players is probably some kind of contract or some kind of restriction to the transfer portal that is badly needed. That is the problem with college football. It is not money. It is not NIL. It is the lawlessness of the transfer portal and the lawlessness of these coaches being able to move wherever they want to move that has to be tapered in some way. It doesn't happen in the NFL. It doesn't happen in the NBA. It doesn't happen in the MLB, because those are franchises of the same league. And college football and college sports in general doesn't have that. Maybe within the conference, but even within the conference, a coach will leave from one season to the next. And you can't ask a player to just decide to stay. So there has to be not only restriction to movement for players, but restrictions to movement for coaches in some way, because it doesn't work for everyone to be moving everywhere all the time. And the only thing that's keeping people in place is more and more money. That's where you lose the soul of something. So revenue sharing might bring positive change to the player movement issue that we're having. But again, for these old fucking men to take out their anger on NIL, to take out their anger on money in college sports, when we've had money in college sports that's been at an astronomical level for 30 years, the entire time I've been alive, the BCS, the college football playoff in both of its iterations so far, soon to be a third iteration, the years and years and years that the highest paid public employee in any given state is probably a college football or college basketball coach. These are things that have always been going on. And now that players are getting a little bit of the taste, and they want to talk about, it's about the education, these kids are getting too much money, they're going to end up broke. They would have ended up broke anyway. You think a college degree just gets you a job? It's not 1985. A college degree doesn't get you shit. Maybe they didn't have to pay for it so they don't get the debt, but still, the money, coming out with $1 million, you're 22 years old with $1 million, but you've made $1 million in 4 years. Even if you spent all of it, I spent all my money when I was 22 years old, and damn sure it wasn't a fucking $1 million. I don't even know if it was $50,000 that I had made, and I worked all of those years. So there is nuance in the problems in college football, especially around NIL and money and the transfer portal. Yes, things are not perfect. But to take aim solely at the amount of money players are making is so short-sighted, is so asinine. You don't understand the world. You think that because you're fucking 50 years old, because you're 60 years old, you understand what these guys are doing, what is going on with these guys, what this money means to them. It's stupid. It's stupid. If you want to have a conversation about this, get a fucking clue. Because if you're mad at $35 to $40 million, oh, buddy, hold on to your fucking pant loops because it's going up and up and up. And it's not just going to be NIL that's going up. It's not just going to be revenue sharing that's going to go up. It's the amount of money that's coming in that's going to go up as well. ESPN's getting filthy rich off of this. Fox Sports is getting filthy rich off of this. The SEC, the Big 10, the ACC, the Big 12, they're getting filthy rich off of this. The college presidents are getting filthy rich off of this. The coaches are getting filthy rich off of this. Why should the kids or the men that are playing not get filthy rich off of it as well? Even if they're going to go into the NFL and eventually make even more money. Even if they're going to use their college degree for something else. If everyone else is getting filthy rich off of it, why the hell shouldn't the players get filthy rich off of it? But thanks for watching that video. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you made it this far, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think that I went too hard on the old men? Do you think that NIL has gotten too high up? And believe me, if you leave that comment, I will definitely be in the comment section talking to you. And do you think that there will be changes to player movement and coaches movement in the coming years with revenue sharing being implemented? If you do want to watch more of my videos, I do have those for you. Right over here, I got my most recent video about Oklahoma. If you came to watch Texas, you probably care about Oklahoma a little bit, so check that one out here. I've got a video about Texas Tech from a couple weeks ago, so check that one out as well. And over here, I've got my subscribe link. Go ahead and click that. Other than that, we'll check you next time. See ya!